Next stop, Chicago Junction.
Welcome to Chicago Junction. For those of you that want to know or don't care.
I want to know.
You want to know. Yes, we talk about trains in the Chicago area and around the world. Our electrical engineer, Mr. John DeVita.
Yay!
Well, thank you very much, Brian. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to another broadcast of Chicago Junction from the John DeVita Broadcast Center on the Windy City Hometown Entertainment Network. Today is Wednesday, July the 10th, the year 2024. Today the panel will be talking about railroads and model railroads. And now to start today's program, here's our announcer, Mr. Brian.
Thank you, John, very much. I am Brian Valou. I retired railroader, retired Navy sailor, and love to play with trains. I got O gauge. I've got some N gauge, some HO, and I got double O. And I found out that the transformer I found with the box, even though it says Lionel, is what he used to do those double O trains, since it's an AC track. 3-rail double O.
Well, if it's double O, then why it has 3 rails?
Because they were
double
running.
O would be 2 rail.
No.
Or it'd be 4 rail because there's 2 of them.
Explain, great
Puma.
Merklin and Hornby were the big competitors before the war.
Mm-hmm.
And when they made this small, they were still playing with AC power.
And 3 rail.
And they made it 3 rail. And I'm sitting there going, okay. And then they finally did make them DC.
Yeah, there was a lot of discussion in MR and RMC in those early days about people getting a Macklin set and saying, how come it don't work on my track?
Well, the thing was the transformer that I used that came with the set was a ZW. The big football in the box.
Ooh.
Looking
at you.
He's looking at me.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, I'm Ron. I'm the Garden Railroader. I got G scale.
Well, wait a minute now. I play in the garden too.
Well, yeah, I understand you play in the garden. I just got everything up. Now the next time is to get it all running.
Oh, you got it up. You need it to run.
Now I need it to run.
Ah.
So I can have my open house in 2 months.
Okay.
Cool.
That'll be good.
Yep. I'll be out there charging them to enter your property. So.
Okay.
I've got the ticket punch for you.
Hi, this is Doug Kanyuk. I'm with the Railroad and Short Lines Club of Chicago. We're currently on summer break, but the third Friday in September is our next meeting, and right now we don't have a presenter yet. And in October, we got Mr. Sabakin doing the Chicago Northwestern, Chicago to Freeport. I'm also an N-scaler, adjunct professor at Wilbur Wright College, longtime rail fan, and just enjoy trains overall. If it runs on rails, I like it. My layout's probably going to be a museum layout. That way I can run anything I want without the nitpickers going crazy. You know, sort of like IRM. You know, you have your loop for the trolley. You have all the display areas, and then you got the back areas where nobody's supposed to go, and then you got the what is it now, 4 miles of track they run back and forth on, and the extra tracks at the station. So that works out real well. And
well, it does. Yeah.
and all the museums, Fox Valley, or I can go the way like the one up Troy, East Troy Museum,
Troy.
where their actual real railroad, that even though the company that they were serving went out of business, that was Trent Tube, is now some kind of stove manufacturer. So Trent Tube's no longer there, and these guys don't get freight cars, so that spur off the main line's not used anymore.
Yeah, and do.
But yeah, they're still certified as a freight railroad.
Yeah.
And there's only like Seashore Museum and some of the other ones. Yeah, it's really easy to get an aerial and take a look.
Oh yeah, I mean, we got the new museum that opened up at Silvis, one of the shops.
Well, the prototype guys are having a panic fit right now. They're talking about They're talking about how a loop, when you put a loop of track down, that's not prototypical. So I've been pulling up aerial shots of the current grain operations, which are all loop tracks.
Yeah.
All over the place. There's a super one up in Minnesota. I mean, this has got 3 different loops for loading. It's huge. And I'm like, look at it. I go, well, there's a prototype for having a loop on a loop layout. The real guys are doing it. What's the problem here?
Well, if you look at any of the early digs, open pit mining, those were all loops.
Yeah, coal, grain, plastic, any raw materials on a loop now, because it's easier to load. They bring in 100 cars, load them up, out. The crew sometimes even, they're fast enough, the crew waits for it, and the crew that brought the empties in will wait for it to be loaded, or they got to load it when ready for them to go. So there's like 2 sets of 100 cars each at all times.
Mm-hmm.
So it's very efficient. Not good for rail fans, but it's very efficient for the railroad and probably very profitable.
Yeah.
So they shut down the nitpickers real quick. Oh, no need prototype. Yeah, there's here one.
Yeah.
There's always nitpicking.
Oh, ethanol. That's the one I couldn't think of. The ethanol guys. The ethanol railroad, tank cars, just all over the place. All right, you want me to go ahead with the stories? I got 2 at the end that'll make you laugh.
Okay, I got a couple too. Maybe we crossed.
Okay. First one is carb reg not feasible for short lines. California rail exec tells Congress. Modesto and Empire Traction Company president and CEO Dylan Alvear testified yesterday on behalf of the American Short Line and Regional Railroad Association at the congressional hearing on California Air Resource Board's CARB new in-use locomotive regulation. The House Transportation and Infrastructure Committee Subcommittee on Railroads, Pipelines, and Hazardous Material yesterday held a hearing on the CARB rule, which aims to reduce greenhouse gas emissions by mandating railroads transition to low and zero-emission locomotives within the next few years. Railroads also would be required to set aside significant revenue to fund in a fund to acquire new locomotives. Now I take a time out here for a minute. Somebody posted about a week ago on YouTube drone shots of Larry's truck electric yard, and there was a blizzard of gen sets sitting there.
You're kidding.
A whole bunch, at least 20 of them sitting there, about half from the Union Pacific.
What caused them to shoot?
They're not performing correctly. Apparently, having the thing transition from one 800 to another 800 to an 800 is not working out. Just didn't work. And then a couple other ones had a couple of the hybrids were sitting in there too. So the railroads are dumping the new stuff already. It's not taking too long. The subcommittee held hearings as the U.S. Environmental Protection Agency evaluates CARB's request for federal waiver that will allow it to enforce its new regulation. So California wants to supersede the federal government. ASRA and the Association of American Railroads say that the technology mandated by CARB is not yet ready for railroads to adopt in time to meet regulation deadlines. The association also say that the regulation would drive some smaller railroads out of business. Modesto and Empire Traction is a private family-owned short line with 53 miles of track. The railroad provides first and last mile rail service to 30 customers, home to some of the nation's largest food and agricultural shippers. Met connects with BNSF and Union Pacific. Many food and agricultural associations, along with business group, manufacturers, and energy firms, have written to the EPA to say that the CARB rule would harm the U.S. agriculture industry and its supply chain. Like us, these groups already predict that this rule would lead to elimination of shipping options and increased costs that will come with whatever shipping options remain. Short lines in California and throughout the country are already working in partnership with state and federal partners to reduce their carbon emissions in realistic ways, including upgrading the cleaner locomotives that test new technology. As they have demonstrated, the Met and short lines in general are perfectly willing to work with CARB and other similar agencies to reduce emissions when they offer reasonable paths forward, but the rule is just not feasible for short lines. And the guy's right. Some of the technology is not there yet.
That's right.
My last story will tell you why.
Well, you look at the, we got the hydrogen locomotive.
Mm-hmm.
We talked about it last month. And what I didn't mention is one of the people performing the conversion kits is Canadian Pacific and Kansas City Southern.
Ah, okay. But see, that's a big company, though. They can afford to experiment.
Yeah, well, they're making the conversion kits.
Yeah. Remember New York Central put a couple of jet engines on the thing and ran it down on a track in Ohio? Well, look, this is the future.
Yep.
But they had the money at the time to do that, too.
Yeah. And, they still had a lot
And where is it now?
Yeah, exactly. I
Well,
mean, can you see Indiana Harbor? Well, Indiana Harbor Belt went that way and got rid of those locomotives. But you could see something like the BRC. Do you think the BRC has a big, deep pockets to go out and try something new? Nope. So, anyway, Hitachi Rail. Hitachi Rail recently marked the first anniversary of passenger rail service on Honolulu Skyline. Since opening the initial 11-mile phase, Skyline, the nation's first fully autonomous metro system, has transformed urban mobility in Honolulu. The L train. Following the start of revenue service on the first segment, substantial progress is being made on building the second segment and is set to initiate passenger service in late 2025, according to Hitachi Rail.
Do you know how long I've been hearing that story?
Yeah, well, it's up and running. I actually
No.
this.
Since 1973.
Yeah, well, they're actually up and running. Well, there's the story I was telling you about earlier. ARUP, A-R-U-P, and Everslot Rail announced hydrogen-fueled steam freight locomotive conversion. Now, this is the one I could not copy off the website, even though I have a copy right here. You can't fool an IT guy. You tell me you can't copy it? But it's going to be hard for me to read because this is a picture, not a text copy. Steamology, a green technology startup company in West Dean, Hampshire, has secured its first commercial contract with ARP and Eversalt Rail to support the evaluation of a green steam to eliminate all freight train emissions. Electrification and the use of electric heavy-haul freight locomotives is the most efficient way to move goods on land. However, large parts of the national rail network remain unelectrified, and this project will provide a complementary means of zero emissions goods transportation by rail. Steamology has developed a patented new technology to generate high-pressure steam without carbon emissions by burning hydrogen and oxygen inside a small modular steam generator. The zero-carbon green steam can be created at a megawatt scale. The New Dawn project will apply this innovation to rail by converting Class 60 locomotive to a fully powered prototype, heralding the return to steam after a break of more than 60 years. This conversion will replace the diesel locomotive with 20 steam generators, 4 steam turbines, and 140 kilograms of gas storage, creating a 2 megawatt zero-emission steam locomotive. Conversion work is planned to commence in the UK in 2025. If successful, this technology could be applied as a modification to existing locomotives or incorporated into newly built products by locomotive manufacturers. There you go. Return to steam.
Yeah.
I said it was. And there's more to this, but it's them patting themselves on the back, basically. Not going to read that.
Well, basically it's using a version of ACE 3000.
Yep, that's what it was. So they're going to do it with hydrogen. So
Well, they're doing it with diesels now. So.
yeah, why not? Let's go with steam turbines. I
Yeah.
mean, that's a proven technology. It's not something new. You know, they've been around about 100 years now.
More than that.
You know, for
No.
electric generation.
The first turbine was Heroes.
Okay.
What was it, 9 BC? And they figured it was a toy, so they didn't do anything with it.
All right, next story. Japanese rail operator installs facial recognition ticket technology. Japanese rail operator Yamaha Company has introduced facial recognition technology to services on its Yakikoraka line in Sakura, allowing people to pay for a ticket with their face in what is believed to be the first in the country. Upgrades to barriers along the line mean that passengers using the ultralight rail network will be able to upload a picture of themselves to Ubiquitous Pass account and pair it with their credit card to enable automatic purchases when they enter the station. Yamaha said, by changing the payment method for the public transportation in an area from current tickets and magnetic tickets to a new cashless payment method using facial recognition will improve the convenience of the public transportation. In addition to the introduction of the technology, the company has switched its tickets machines to issue QR tickets to passengers who have not registered for the pass. The launch of the tech, designed by Panasonic and Joran, comes after a success of 2 trials conducted by the 3 companies on a bus and the Yokosuka line between May and September of 2021 and March of 2023. The Joran-style point and pass system, which costs 60 I guess that's 60 yen, Y6M, 60 M, okay, or $373,000 will use cameras to identify passengers and charge their credit cards for the 200 yen flat fare or the 500 yen day ticket, similar to tap-in, tap-out system. Facial recognition has been proposed as a way to improve efficiency and security on rail networks for years, with German authorities testing similar software in Berlin station in 2017, but has seen skepticism from the passengers wary of handing over their biometric data. However, it is perhaps no surprise that the Japanese operators become one of the first to move to using this technology in its primary ticket option, given the country's wide embrace of next-generation technology. JR East has also sought to improve its ticketing system with the recent announcement that it would be expanding its payment network to allow its use in a wider variety of services and integrate biometric authentication. Did you also hear the story that FedEx is spying on us?
Yes.
Okay. Apparently, when the drivers are out on the road, there's a camera in the truck, and it records everything, including license plates, and they're turning it over to this company that also supplies license plate databases to police departments. Okay, now we go to the lighter side.
Oh, boy.
You ready for this one?
Okay,
I
let's
know
go.
you guys, you're waiting with bated breath for this
I'm
one.
just so excited here. I'm just
Brightline to run sing-along trains to Swift's Miami concerts. You got it too. Brightline is starting its Taylor Swift era. The high-speed rail service will operate themed sing-along trains to transport fans from Orlando to Swift era tour concerts at Hard Rock Stadium in Miami on October 18 through 20. Brightline developed a sing-along train to the big concert promotion with iHeartRadio and is planning 2 sing-along trains with themed decor. Passengers can also swap friendship bracelets, capture timeless memories with photo ops, and enjoy curated bites and beverages on the ride, Brightline officials said in a news release. The 2 trains will depart Orlando each of the 3 days of the concert.
And how much does this cost?
Do you have that?
Nope.
Okay. And finally, the story that you really will love. A driver says his Tesla drove onto an active railroad track after the autopilot mistook them for a road. A Tesla owner says he ended up in the middle of an active train track after the autopilot mistook it for a road, the California Police Department said in a warning to other drivers. The alleged incident happened outside Sacramento. police didn't share the driver's name or the condition of the car. Woodland Police Department of California issued warnings on Wednesday in a Facebook post reminding Tesla drivers to stay vigilant while using Tesla's autopilot feature.
Technology.
I mean, you know, it's a railroad track. How could the thing confuse it for a road?
But the thing is, this guy was sober then, right?
He was probably sleeping in the car. That's when you put him on autopilot.
Oh boy.
I mean, I wonder when the clue was he was on railroad tracks. Boom, and the car stalled.
Or else the train was blowing its whistle. Or
You realize if there's any damage to the undercarriage anywhere, you know, with the frame and stuff where the battery sits, the insurance companies automatically total the car. They won't even attempt to fix it because the battery itself costs $18,000 to replace. And you can't, anything that damages the frame, literally, from the bottom, from the sides, gets twisted, you know, when you go down a rough road and sometimes you get out of a line. As soon as that frame's out of alignment, they total the car because it damages the battery. And they literally got to take the whole car apart to replace it. So as a side note, State Farm on Allstate will total a car. Some guy in Ukraine buys it, fixes it, puts them back into service in Ukraine.
Works for me.
Yep. Well, yeah, but the Californians are going to be short-lived because the insurance companies already, they told California, we're raising homeowners rates 50% or we're leaving the state. Go find somebody else to insure everybody. State Farm and Allstate told the California board, either we raise rates or we're leaving.
and they'll do it and get
Why?
away with it.
Forest fires. Too many of them.
The thing is,
But we're paying for that.
Well, they're doing the same thing in Florida. The insurance companies are telling the state of Florida they're not insuring houses along the ocean front any longer. Same reason. Hurricane comes in, knocks the house down, they build a new one. Knocks it down, and the next storm knocks it down. They're getting tired of paying for it. I don't know if that's good or bad. I'm just saying this is what's going on.
Yeah, well, that's what's going on.
Yeah.
It's actually the
but
truth.
a lot of the houses are being more sturdy.
Depends.
Yeah, it depends.
Depends. If they actually had a reputable company build it, yes. If they had some fly-by-nighter come in and slap it together, no. And depends what the insurance company paid, too. Because I don't know if you looked at your thing, they say market value. What does that mean? Which market value?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
And did you know, by the way, the basement, the foundation's not covered? As I found out from when I had a basement flood problem and I talked to the insurance company. They said, oh, yeah, the basement's not covered. What do you mean not covered? Well, the foundation, that can't be destroyed, so that doesn't count when we go to rebuild a house.
They have answers for everything.
Oh, yeah. Anyway, so what you got for us, Brian? I know I swiped some of your stories there.
Yeah, you did. Well, we got, on that Brightline story.
Yeah, go ahead and fill in some more.
I guess they're not going to have quiet cars?
I guess not. I know there's a post already asking about that.
Oh, there is?
Yeah. Somebody was on, it was one of the Facebook groups I get. I don't look at the group. I just, oh, look, that's an interesting story.
Yeah.
Why are they not having quiet cars?
Okay.
By the way, you heard about the Metro experiment next week. In August. Metro's going to be running 10 trains a day between O'Hare and Union Station for the DNC. On the day, one day before and one day after the convention and during the convention. And they said, if this is successful, we may do it all the time. Now, have you been to the Metro station at O'Hare Airport?
Metro, yes. Metro, no.
Metro station at O'Hare. If you want to get to the ATS, it's a block walk. And it's not marked either. It's like these little tiny signs, and you have to look for them. So when you get off at the station,
Where's this station at?
Well, you know where the new parking lot is and where they extended the train to? On the other side of Mannheim. Okay, you know where that big building is? The station's back behind her. So you have to walk around the whole building to get to the ATS. That's about a block. And then you can take the I call it the goofy train. You can take the ATS into the airport then. And it's not marked. There's no signs or anything to tell you where you're supposed to go. Not well thought out.
They can't be successful on something like that.
Anyway, go ahead. So you got the bright line.
Well, we got, the first step for the Hudson Tunnel project has started. Remember when Christie became governor?
Yep, Deep Six the project.
Deep Sixed it when it had all the money.
Mm-hmm.
It is now 3 times more
Yep.
than what it was.
I can believe that.
Yep.
And
imagine he wanted to be president once.
yeah, he vowed that the tunnel funds was in place will only be used for roads only, highways and turnpikes, and all federal funding had been locked down. Now it is, anyway. And the boring machine that's on its way from overseas.
So what's the timeline now on when they think they'll be when they start and when they think they'll finish?
Wait till all the parts get here for the boring machine.
So we're not going to have a California fiasco there, are we?
Yeah, they're going to call the EPA. We found a jellyfish.
By the way, I think they got a segment open and up and running, don't they? On the high speed? Or did I read that wrong?
Well, they got the electric running on the commuter service.
Okay, that's the one I read then. Yeah, they're supposed to start like Monday.
Yeah, they're all tested and ready to go. And then they're sitting there going, "What took us so long?"
Yeah, it's truly amazing. Think back 100 years and they say, put down a track, and next week it was there.
And the thing is, the trolleys are still running.
Mm-hmm.
And how old are they?
Anyway, so what else you got?
Oh, yes.
Mr. Steam Engine?
Oh, I like this. Well, we'll do steam. We'll do steam. But first, we'll talk state politics.
Okay.
Which state? Thank you.
My favorite one, Pennsylvania.
Okay.
The difference between a project and a career. All right?
All right.
Okay.
Much has been said and published and opined about intercity rail service in northeast Pennsylvania since the 1970s. Amtrak service to Scranton has been studied, reviewed, consulted, re-examined since November 19th, 1979. And they're still doing it. In the intervening 45 years, consultants have lined their pockets, politicians have made promises, government bureaucrats have made a career out of public work that would have been accomplished in 2 or 3 years. Politicians, consultants, and bureaucrats continue to promise Scranton and New York City service, even today, to start up in a few years or by the end of the decade.
Which decade?
Well, see, there you go. And,
Leave it to the politicians.
Or whenever. Today, to start up a few years, at the end of the decade, or whenever. Meanwhile, the Reading and Northern. Good old Reading, Blue Mountain, and Northern. decided last year there was a market for a regularly scheduled intercity passenger service from the Wyoming Valley, starting in Pittston,
Okay.
and going to Jim Thorpe. Now there have been people that have said it, and they've done. He's been going. The owner of the Blue Mountain in Reading is talking to him, and he goes, "Okay, well, this is what we're going to do." And they made a nice station platform and everything, and they're now running trains.
Good for them.
Meanwhile, the Reading and Northern decided last year that there is a market for regularly scheduled, and now runs trains every weekend throughout the year. Service began in May 2023. The difference is the private capital decide there is a business case for rail passenger service, and moved the concept to service in just a few months versus nearly half a century.
You know the old saying about politicians, why do it in 2 steps when 42 steps is better?
Yep. No consultants, studies, proposals, reviews, analysis, restudies, politicians, debates, consultants, reports, paperwork, and endless dithering. Just a train that you can actually ride. And they decide to put this up almost like a billboard. This project is being paid for by the Reading and Northern Railroad, not your tax dollars. It is,
That's sticking it to them.
and is being completed by the Reading and Northern Railroad as a gift to Pittston and the Wyoming Valley. I love that. When I opened this magazine up last week, I go, oh, my.
Yeah. That's good.
I
Well, it's
said-
like those guys down in Texas trying to put in Texas Central. The high speed between, was it Houston and Dallas?
Mm-hmm.
I think they started actually building. Finally got past the NIMBYs.
Yeah.
So that should be up and running in about a year or two. No, in Texas.
Yeah. The way they do some of them.
Oh, yeah, and they also broke ground for the Las Vegas line, too.
Yep, they broke ground. Well, we talked about that
Yeah,
a little
they
bit.
broke ground. They got the union signed on and everything.
Yep, they got everything. The thing was, the people that signed it is the stuff that they was stopping, putting in the other line, going north to San Francisco.
Well, they figured that was going that way, that one's going this way. Don't even think, that's...
Well, but the bullet line is underway. They finally they signed all the paperwork. High Desert Bullet Train Authority union signed labor pacts.
Yep. In fact, that'll probably get done before California high speed between San Francisco and L.A. At the rate things are going. That'll be done. The Texas one will be done. What else will be done by then?
Maybe the people in Congress.
Again, the whole California thing, I looked at it. It was strictly a management problem.
Yeah.
I don't know why they had to have, they broke it into 5 segments, gave each one its own management structure, which means they had to go out and get their own consultants, their own contractors. I'm like, wait a minute. Obviously somebody doesn't know what the word project management means when you go that route.
Yeah.
Now, how many head chefs are there in a famous restaurant? 1, not 14.
That's right. Yeah.
But that's where all the experts are.
Oh, England is
Oh, yeah.
paying its respects
Oh, to what?
To who?
to the Genesis. Chargers are taking over.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, they're giving the new Siemens locomotives, replacing the vintage 1990
Yeah.
Genesis design.
Wow.
I mean, they...
So they can't build one locally?
Huh?
They're not building the diesels locally anymore? And I mean, there's not a local company that built locomotives in England? That's what I'm trying to say.
Yeah. No, the Chargers are being built in California.
I know, but that's Siemens.
Yeah.
Siemens is worldwide.
Yeah.
There used to be local companies in Britain that built locomotives.
Oh, yeah.
Are they still there? Or are they?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
How come they're not building it then for a British rail?
I don't know.
Okay. That's what I was trying to get at.
Yeah, well, they want to see if they can do one that'll actually
That would
run
explain-
on American railroads.
That would explain those mystery locomotives that went by on Virtual Rail Fan a couple of weeks ago.
Yeah.
Yeah, ones that were wrapped into white sheets and couldn't figure out what was underneath.
Yeah. White sheets.
They were in what was white something covering them.
Yeah.
White plastic, all right? Jeez.
No. Okay.
I mean, it went through the South with white sheets. I mean, what are you thinking? It was covered in white something, probably
Golly,
plastic.
Gee willikers.
Plastic tarp. White. No markings. On a flat car. Some of them were on a flat car, which was unusual. Usually they put the narrow gauge ones on the flat cars, but this was standard gauge one on a flat car.
Oh, that's what. Well, a lot of cars have been being put on flat cars now.
Yeah, I saw that. That's very interesting. Makes for a good modeling thing on your layout.
But yeah, well, as you heard me say, on the 29th of June, I went down to Silvis. Was at the shops.
Okay. All right, let's get the report.
And yeah.
Do a George Carlin on now for the WINO report.
Oh, I'm glad this has been a really great new paint scheme for CP.
Yeah, CP Casey.
Yep.
I don't know. Looks okay.
Yeah.
I'm looking at it in terms of how much money does it cost to really do it or how much labor does it take. And that's a very simple paint scheme, so it takes nothing to do it.
Yeah. Well, it's just like
$1.98.
well, like the Florida East Coast Railroad. They've got a new color scheme. They're blue.
Yep, that's it.
They're blue.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm sitting there looking at them going, geez, that looks like the same shade of shoe that the
Gatex uses on their locomotives.
And that's supposed to be the new color scheme?
Yeah, all blue.
All blue?
yeah.
Oh,
Well,
boy.
yeah, but see, remember Illinois Terminal was all that lime green
Yeah.
in their final years. So one color, if it works, great. It's cheap to paint, that's for sure. It only takes
Yeah.
the crew by a day to do it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, well, that makes sense.
I mean, you look at, was it NS just released another batch of custom painted locomotives, right? It probably had to take 2-3 weeks to do some of those things. I mean, not that I don't like it. It's just that I look at it in terms of labor and materials and time spent. And, railroads are basically cheap SOBs. And you look at that and you say, wow, stick with one color or two colors. You're still looking for a good story.
No. Yeah, well,
Bambi, page 5.
pulled it out.
So what else was going on at Silvis? Now that you went
No,
out there
okay.
and sweated yourself to Sauna City.
Oh, yeah. Sauna City. Well, I did go in and take a little tour of what they had inside. I mean, I'm looking at the door and I'm going, geez, that looks like a carcass of a Challenger. I mean, they got it completely stripped down. All the tubes are pulled. And they're going to start working on that. And they're also going to be working on that Santa Fe type that they have, the UP one. The 5311, I think it is, or something like that.
Here's a question for you, Mr. Steam Engine. The tubes, are they iron, copper, or some kind of alloy? And if so, what kind of alloy? The steam tubes. I always wondered about that because I always thought they were iron, but they're not. They're not iron.
No,
Stainless steel, maybe, but
they were-
copper or
They
nickel.
were steel. Now, it's funny you mentioned the copper on the tubes that go into the English engines.
Mm-hmm.
They put copper caps on them,
Okay.
and I was reading a story about Baldwin when they were building engines for the Brits, and they were talking about how much trouble they were having keeping the caps on. And finally, you know, they got once they got the cap on, they started putting slices of lead in there
Mm-hmm.
to put them onto the boilers, and that was the way they stopped tearing them apart.
I was just wondering because I know it's the pipes are taking heavy heat and stuff and water, and they don't want them to rust. So I figure it was steel or some nickel alloy or copper maybe.
But no, it's a steel alloy.
Okay.
And
I'm
then
on. Am I on? Yeah, I guess.
You are.
Thank you.
Well, we're looking at you. Come
Yeah,
up
I
with
know you're
something.
looking at me. I'm awake.
Okay. Oh, like the guy on the front cover, that's Steve Sandberg.
Okay.
He's the one that owns the Milwaukee Road locomotive now, the 261, that we haven't seen in a while.
So what's coming? Is Big Boy making it to Chicago this year?
Everybody's saying it's coming to Rochelle, and I can't find the message on it.
Same here. There's supposedly a schedule out there, but I can't find it.
Well, I'm going to be probably looking at. I'm going to see the Union Pacific Steam Club. That should have something.
Any other steam locomotives buzzing around someplace?
Oh,
Or steaming around someplace, I should say. They don't buzz. Electrics buzz.
yeah. But
Get your engine straight.
Yeah.
Steam or
I like electric.
So we got any steam trips coming up anywhere in the area?
No. Not that I have heard.
Nothing nationwide or anything? No?
Nationwide, there's probably some. I have to get into it.
but
I mean,
they
except
don't like
for-
our area.
Yeah, except for museum operations. I mean, yeah, I'm talking regular fan trips type stuff.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about. There's a couple that they're thinking of. And, in fact, I know they're working on the SP Spokane, Portland, Seattle. They're 500. And then possibly the Daylight. And then I like to find out. I got to check into it. The rebuilding of the Yellow Jacket, that Nashville locomotive.
Virtual Railfan was showing Strasburg. They were running their 440. Nice to see it.
What's running now?
Yeah. It was on cameras on July 7th.
They got the American running again.
Yeah. You know, at the end of his grab bags, he plays some music. Usually does the sunset, sunrise, or forest fire, or whatever it is. This time he did a black and white of the Strasburg running the 440 to some music. Otherwise, I would have turned it off at that point because I don't care about the sunrise or sunset or whatever.
But yeah, that.
Yeah, it was nice to see it.
Because I got a videotape on basically run-bys.
Mm-hmm.
And I've got the Atlantic and the American double-headed going from Lancaster to Philly and back.
Wow. Yeah, this thing was muscling 8 passenger cars, too. Oh, Strasburg. So it's kind of nice to see that.
Makes me want to go break out the Broadway Limited again.
There you go.
Hey, it's got a great shot of it in there. Victor McLonigan, heavy on the throttle. Hi, Ron.
Hi.
So what's new in the garden world?
Not much of anything.
You know, you could take a T-gauge train, put it out in your yard, and make your recreation of them.
People aren't just, they're not doing much in their gardens and their railroads, hardly, in our club. There's a few that are happening, but not like it has been in the past, where every weekend we were running. Then you got people that don't like to travel.
I'm just wondering because you see that people are complaining that amount of railroading's going down the drain, but there's all new people coming in, but they do things different than all of us that we came up with. You know, like we're more than willing to do our own scenery. We're all scratch build a building or something like that, and then the new guys are coming up, and I keep explaining this to people. They don't have time to sit there and scratch build something ready to run. Look at Woodland Scenes, what they're doing. You buy for $30 the whole scene. You know, you got the train station, the baggage carts, the little guy, the people on it, and you just drop it on the layout. You don't have to build. You don't have to go buy all the pieces.
Well, look at Menards.
Yeah. Oh yeah, did you see their newest thing?
No.
A whole line of Chicago and Northwestern stuff. An F7, caboose, box cars, hoppers, flat cars, and everything.
Uh-huh.
Now, this is about Firecrown. So what is he doing? Firecrown Media rapidly expanding, blah, blah, blah. Firecrown Media is young. Okay.
That's the company that bought him.
So I started the media, and that's blah, blah. Okay. So I like digital lamps, and then none of this exists in prints. But I do see the hobby coming back. It's just going to take some time. I think we're at a trough. Because I equate that, I equate that the same way as...
That's what
Menards.
Lionel?
O-Gauge.
Yeah, O-Gauge.
Wow.
Well, see, he's got 5 kids, ages 3 to 17. So, let's see, if he married when he was 20, that'd make him 37. He's 47 years old. Probably 45.
And we can go to Chattanooga and see him if we want.
Well, I equate what's going on right now in modern railroading. The same thing that happened back in 60, I would say, 63 to 67. The slot car craze.
Well, yeah, it started to tilt basically around 55. And more of the racers and stuff like that.
But, you know, that was the height, because I remember even when I had a slot car, we'd go down to where the Animal Kingdom used to be until they moved down the street, and the guy had put a big track, and you could pay your $10.
And race on it. And, had like, what, 8 or lanes or something like that?
Yeah. And after the second time, I was like, this is boring. You know? So it's, and I look at the same thing, because they pronounced modern railroading dead at that point.
Yes,
because of the slot cars. And so we're going through another period where you got the people who, well, why don't you build it yourself, to, I want ready to run.
Yeah.
What's wrong with ready to run? Cattle's making a small fortune with their track. Excellent track. It's excellent review. Bachman copied them. Who else copied? There's one other company now copied it. Was Atlas? Snap. You know how the cattle track goes together. Bachman's got the same thing.
Yeah.
Not as good, but quality's not the same, but same principle.
Well, basically, Lionel's got the fast track now.
Right, and then there's a third company that's got HON scale track that does it. I think it's Atlas, but I'm not sure.
Yes.
And so, again, what is that? Ready to run.
In fact,
Well, that's what people want. They want instant railroad.
Yeah.
I have Z-Gauge.
That's yeah.
Same way. Put out by the old KD company.
And then the T gauge. Do you know their locomotives are magnetically drawn to the track so you could run a layout upside down?
Yes.
I was watching this video and the guy goes, "Watch this." Now it's not the cars; it's just the engine, but it's got a magnet underneath to hold it to the track. So the guy goes, "Watch this," and he turns the thing upside down and the track's going. I'm like looking at it, go, "Cool," you know.
But yeah, it came out. It was made in Japan.
Yeah.
And I was still stationed. I was over there during my first year, and I had gotten the address to go see Cato and such, and Astor, see the live steamers, and they were a really nice company. And he says, "Yeah, well, we were testing. Well, Japan, you're a little bit hurting on space."
Yeah. That's why T gauge is real big out there now.
And so what they did is, "Yeah, we test our trains on the roof."
Yeah.
And so they took us up.
Cool.
A couple of guys came with me from the ship, and they're sitting there going, "Boy, you model railroaders are crazy." And he says, "Yeah, look at these little steamers." And here they are. You know, they had one where the Pacific was running, K4 was running, and here it is, a guy sitting behind it, and another guy sitting on a flat car, and they're just running along on the roof, showing how strong it is.
Cool.
And that was fun.
I mean, people ask me what gauge should they go, and I go, well, what do you want to do? If you want to do switching, O scale or HO. If you're going to be one of those that want to switch stuff, HO's probably better than O scale, but O scale if you got the room. If you want to run long trains, N scale, Z scale, T scale. Especially if you want to run 15-car passenger trains, you better be in T scale.
And you better have the room
Yeah.
for whatever you're going to.
Well, in T scale,
even with G scale, you got to have the room to whatever you're going to do. I mean,
well, T scale, a 12-car passenger train would be about 3 feet long. So even on this table, you would have lots of running room. Now you start losing running room as the gauge gets larger.
I mean,
Yeah, but I mean that's what I tell them. I go, "Do you want a switching layout and N scale?" I've seen them. Not pretty, because it's you put KD couplers in there, or the other ones now, the other knucklers. You still got to figure out how to uncouple them without putting a magnet in the track, and that becomes problematical. So if you're going to want a switching layout, you got to go HO or O scale.
Mm-hmm.
And it depends on how you want to do it. If you want to be all manual, I'd recommend O scale because it looks good, where you throw your own switches and stuff. If you want to do the other kind of switching where you throw the switch electronically, HO's better. And there's more parts available too.
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah, well,
it's,
that's
Well, yeah,
the big one.
It's like what John Allen. If you want to practice switching, he was an old modeler, a very good
Yep,
modeler.
I seen some of the pictures of his layout. Yeah.
Gory and defeated.
Yep. Yeah, nice name.
And
some guys are very talented, very very.
Well, he's the one
Yeah.
that said if you can't see it from 3 feet away, don't do it. He was very, in HO he's doing this.
yeah,
Where you don't have to put all the detail in there. Just as long as the brain will fill the rest of it in. Just have it look good.
that's it.
And that stuck with me. I said, okay.
But he made a layout. He made out a simple layout for switching, and you could sit there and put your problems together, and then he'd run contests with them with his friends. And he was also really big joker. He goes when they go to the NMRA conventions.
Mhm.
They come see the layouts. He gets out there. He says, "Better not have a tunnel." He likes to throw ping pong balls inside. And all of a sudden, the train's coming out, pushing the balls. You hear this tinkle, tink, tink, tink.
bing bing bing.
Yeah, bing, bing, whoa, whoa. And that's the type of guy that you like.
have the graveyard with everybody's name on it.
Yeah.
Because the guy, sometimes I switch on his layout. Anybody who's ever had a derailment, he's got a headstone in his graveyard. You know who I'm talking about.
That's good. See,
So-
but like you say, yeah, I mean,
I have 5 stones, so.
You're lucky.
but yeah, that's what's so nice about this hobby. There are so many things involved with it. Whether it be the prototypes that we discussed,
Mhm.
you know, we're lucky we've seen both sides of it. We see the, you know, we have people that we talk with, we joke with, actually learn something sometimes.
Sometimes.
Have you watched a guy called DIY and Model Trains? The bald-headed guy that talks about N-scale all the time?
No.
I watch him sometime. He was talking about using robot motors that control robot arms to run your switch machines instead of using the switch machines that you can buy in HO and N-scale. Because the robot motors are micro speed. Yeah, and he actually did a whole thing about using that with an Arduino to control them, because that's how you control a robot. I have a robot arm in the basement.
Didn't think about that.
Yeah, I looked at that. I went down and looked. Oh, I got a couple of spare motors with this kit that I was given to build and never did anything with. So it's like, oh, okay, I'll have to give that a try. Because I was working with a magnet. I have a little setup where I was trying to do switching with the magnets, and that worked, except for one little problem. I couldn't figure out how to get the switch to stay in place after it was thrown. I needed like some kind of spring mechanism.
Yeah.
Because what I did was I mounted a small one of those little tiny magnets, powerful ones. Yeah, I could put one on my hand, and on the other side they would stay in place.
No kidding.
But they're real tiny. Okay, so I glued it to the switch ties that stuck out,
Mm-hmm.
and then I had a wand that I got from some other kit, and either the magnet's drawn to it or it's repelled, and it would throw the switch points. The problem with it is I didn't have some kind of spring or locking mechanism that would hold it in place, so it would shake itself loose and get out of alignment, so it would have derailments. But I'm still working on that part. Then I looked at, I could use these robot things. Maybe I'll try that for a while. But I'm still thinking it through, trying to figure out how to get that, because that works. You know, in N-scale, I could actually have a switch stand that's really a magnet, and then I just put the wand next to it, and the wand came from a set from back in the 50s. It was a set that was about 1 by 2 foot, I think, or maybe 6 by 12. I don't know. It was like a little city thing. It had a circle of track, and it had an RDC car, but it was run by magnet. You would put the magnet wand underneath and drag it around the thing. I got the RDC and I got the wand. I don't have the rest of it, but I got those 2 pieces. It's in my collection somewhere. But I thought it's a good idea. I don't have to drill any holes. You don't have to put any, because I looked at all the way people were throwing switches. They got the wire, the rods, where you got the knobs at the end of the layout and stuff. You got the remote control, but you have to put a motor underneath, which means you got to drill out underneath the switch, which means you got to have access underneath. And if you're doing multi-layer, that doesn't look good. And I was trying to figure out, then they got the ground throw switches, where they got and for N-scale, they're oversized because they're basically HO ones adapted to N-scale. And I said, So I was trying to figure out something better than what I got now, which is, I got the regular Atlas switches with those big things on it. And, What you got there? Rails to the Sky. Sky where? Is it
West Virginia.
Oh, okay.
This is number 11. I have a history of number 11.
Oh, okay. Pray tell.
Well, before it became number 11, it was number 3. Feather River number 3. Worked it out of Sierra in logging. And its main connection was the Sierra Railroad.
Okay.
You've heard of the Sierra
Yeah.
Railroad.
Petticoat Junction.
Bingo.
Iron Horse.
That's it.
What are railroads? What are TV shows used it? A whole bunch.
Oh, yeah.
There's like 60 shows or movies connected with it.
There's I have I've got a CD. It says, it'll tell you, it's the railroad that was in every movie. And, but she's, so we had her as number 3 at the Pacific Southwest Railway Museum.
Mm-hmm.
And this is the first engine I pulled the throttle on. It did it properly. And they figured I couldn't do too much damage. And it's a 90-ton Shay, 3-truck. And it is the second most powerful Shay there at Cass.
Mm-hmm.
The only one that it tops, it was actually bought in to support number 6, Western Maryland 6, which is heavier. And she's running. We got a bunch of, you got a bunch of Shays and a Climax. And then there's also a Heisler.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, they finally got the Heisler running. But if you want to go
Got
for
the trifecta of logging locomotives.
Yeah, and you could go there. You can sleep on the mountain in the caboose.
Oh, okay. I don't want to sleep on the mountain.
Well, the caboose is on the mountain.
Okay.
Just the way he said it, it was like, we're going to sleep on the mountain, under the stars.
With Yogi right next door to you,
by the way, there is a caboose up there that we can...
You can just sleep in.
You can sleep in.
And you can see the first radio antenna from up there.
Cool. Has it got a plaque on it saying so?
Well, considering you see the big net, this is from the NASA stuff.
Oh, a radio telescope.
Yeah.
Okay. Do you know, like, one in Puerto Rico's been shut down?
Oh, really?
It's been shut down for 3 years. It's been out of service.
Couldn't get parts?
Probably.
But if you really want to see some good steam action, this will be the place to go.
Okay.
And that's what, Cass Scenic?
Yeah.
Where at?
Cass, West Virginia.
Okay. Got to give the listeners, all 3 of them, details.
That's true. You have to do
Just
that.
can't say one thing. You got to give the whole meal.
Yes.
You know, it's like these guys, they post, look at this, and they don't tell you where it is.
Yeah.
And get offended when you ask them, where is it? Like we're supposed to mind read or something.
That is
Like
true.
you're supposed to know what I'm showing you.
Speaking of which, have you seen that on their poster? It was called Railfan Bingo. There was a sheet, and you could pick off the things that people post. Have you seen that? I know the guy who wrote that.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah. He said, Tug, you got to see this. And I looked at it, I started laughing my head off. I go, yeah, you're right.
Oh, yeah, definitely some of that stuff.
I can't tell you his name because he operates under another name when he's on Facebook.
That's okay.
Well, I told him to do that because he was leery about being on Facebook. I go, well, you don't have to use your real name. Just as long as you're not using it for fraudulent purposes or criminal activity, you could use any name you want. There's no laws against it. A little hard to come up with ID, but that can be worked out. I know this guy down in Humboldt Park could get you all fixed up.
I have a guy that can help.
That's right. We're from Chicago. We all have a guy.
Shall we close up, gentlemen?
Next stop, Chicago Junction.
It's time to pull into the station. I want to thank you again for listening. Yeah, I can get the teeth right. I want to thank everybody for being here tonight.
It was a pleasure. Very good.
And don't forget, we got to tip our electrical engineer there. John, thank you very much.
You're welcome, Brian. It's a pleasure having you gentlemen here in my studios. I appreciate it very much. You have been listening to Chicago Junction from the John DeVita Broadcast Center on the Windy City Hometown Entertainment Network on Wednesday, July the 10th, the year 2024. Chicago Junction was produced and directed by John DeVita, and our special thanks to the executive producer of Windy City Hometown Entertainment Network, Mr. John Chikanda. This broadcast was produced and pre-recorded on Wednesday, July the 10th, the year 2024. Until next time, friends, please be safe and thanks for listening.